Welcome to the Warren Cycling Podcast. My name is Dean Warren. I'm in Frankfurt, Germany today.
I'm Randy Warren, and I'm in Asheville, North Carolina.
It's February 28th, not the last day of February. We got an extra day tomorrow. And I was going to say it's Werner's birthday. Happy birthday, Werner. But we do birthdays at the end. So we'll check back with the birthdays at the end. Episode 348 of the podcast. It's middle of the week, Monday. Over the weekend, there are so many races. Did you watch the GCN recap? Because Danny Lloyd, they do such a good job recapping everything, but better than we can do. we'll just offer our insights.
That's not what we do, though. I was thinking about that. We talk about that, though. But I think our perspective on it is the key for our because they recap.
A reason to listen. Yeah.
They don't really go into depth on anything on it. But I'd like to watch it if I can. But I was sick, and I raced this weekend, and then Saturday was Sunday. I let it ride. It was packed with other things. And then I was sick, so I slept Monday instead of doing things like watching.
I was just I don't know, something. One of my emails came up about the William Henry Harrison, the president that only was 1 month in office. Uh-huh. He got a cold and went to pneumonia. He didn't change out of his wet clothes. He got wet, rained, and then he didn't change out of his wet clothes. Got sick, got pneumonia, and died.
And he got sick at the inauguration. I think that's when it was a cold, wet inauguration day. So he went to the inauguration, got sick from the inauguration, and then died from there.
Yeah. So, take care of yourself. Yeah. Exactly. So, so much racing over the weekend. I was just blown away. Then Monday I looked, no races today. I was like, oh, you get a little break. And then this week there are already a couple one days. The Les Hammond race, I thought that used to be a more important or bigger race, and it seemed to just barely be a side note yesterday. And then today, that Italian one-day race, which Lenny Martinez, he's been riding really well. Won in a breakaway. You said he was off solo, right?
Yeah, I just wrote briefly about it. Yeah, he was off solo, and then there was a chase group after him. So, and that had Juan Ayuso in it too. Who
won over the weekend. Yeah, it was fun. There were like two races. Let's look at Lenny. I was looking at Lenny's results here because we drank Gran Camino. I thought he was racing against Ayuso and Mark Hirschi, who won over the weekend.
I don't know. Ayuso won at the French race, the Fon Ardèche Classic.
Yeah.
So, that was a small group. He won in a four-person little sprint. So, and actually Kevin Vermarca finished, or Vermarca, I always say Vermarca because it's Belgium, but he goes by Vermarc. I think he was sixth place though. He was second in the field sprint. So it was actually wasn't much of a field sprint. It looked like it was a big climb, a descent, a small climb, then a little descent, and it was a bunch of small groups that were just not very far apart. So a group of four that Juan Ayuso won, and then 4 seconds back a group, then 7 seconds back a group, then 10 seconds back a group, and then after that it was more broken up. So
it was the Fon Ardèche Classic on Saturday, and then the Drôme Classic on Sunday in France. So I guess I was mistaken. Lenny Martinez was racing the Camino race where Jonas Vingegaard was winning all the races again. But I think he was finishing pretty high up. So Lenny Martinez definitely on form for FDJ. So that's always good to see FDJ. Always good to see any of the smaller teams win because we're in a time of cycling where it's so dominated now by the rich teams, and not anymore Sky, which was they dominated like in the Grand Tours, but nothing like Visma-Lease bike did last year.
Yeah, they were
always Sky always kind of fell. Yeah, they kind of fell flat at some of the classics, and I kind of felt like I didn't like their methodology, the way they raced in their Grand Tour wins, where they just like string out everybody and drop everybody, and then win the first big mountain stage and then control the race. And when they're, I don't know, I wasn't a real big fan of the way they were winning those tours and just of their domination. No, but I have to think, Visma-Lease bike now, kind of like they're so dominant. Am I against them now? Am I not liking how dominant they are? But the thing is about Visma-Lease bike, when you see Matteo Jorgenson, who just joined the team off the front, you get kind of excited because you want to see him do well. And when you see Sepp Kuss winning a Grand Tour, you get excited about that. But overall, I don't know. It can't be so great for the sport to have such a rich team, be able to put so much into all the resources to have such a dominating team. But it's always good, I guess, to see the David and Goliath battles, right?
Well, it is for sure, and yeah, I guess you know it's funny because you root for right now for Ineos as the underdog. Like Pidcock this weekend, he's a defending champion at Strade Bianche, and is he the underdog? Well, I don't know. Pogačar, of course, UAE they've had some success for sure, but
they fell flat in their own tour.
Right. Yeah, they're
with no explanation of what happened to Jay Vine or Brandon McNulty. I mean, they were sitting right there on top, and then
McNulty. Actually, I did hear there was an explanation.
Did you?
Sickness was running through the team.
Okay, that's what that was assumed. And sometimes they don't teams don't usually like to come out and say they're like right. It's like they're giving excuses. They don't want to. It's not like hockey when they just say lower body injury where they conceal what it was. But
Patrick Kane was out for 4 weeks from a lower body injury. It's like what? But he's come back though. The Red Wings are on the tear again because Patrick Kane is. So back from the lower body injury.
And they've been. I was reading or seeing the articles today saying that the Lions' success in the playoffs has rubbed off on them to push them. So here, a couple of Michigan boys here, forever Michigan fans of the Detroit teams, but we refer to those every once in a while. We're cyclists who know how to suffer because they ride bikes for long hours, and you really do suffer on a bike a lot of times. So as sports fans, we know about suffering too as being Detroit fans. So yeah, we know a lot about that kind of self-inflicted suffering in a way. We don't not like the suffering that goes on if you live in third world countries or have real struggles. Like
Sure.
So
I was reading an article a couple of days afterwards because the same thing. You're right. They didn't give an explanation right away what happened.
Yeah, I even went to their website
so early too.
There's like, come on, that's not normal at all. Yeah,
because I think Jay Vine said all he had to do was stay on McNulty's wheel and he'd win the day, because they were both riding so well. And then it was catastrophic. Jay Vine held on much longer, obviously, but
but they were saying too that he had Berg, I think Miguel Berg, go to the front to set a high pace, and he was up there. He went up to, okay, let's go set a pace, and then he went out the back pretty much after that. Like maybe it's like maybe I can do it. I don't know, but maybe we have to. Maybe it was one of those big.
They had to try.
They had to try. Unlike Niels Pollitt didn't seem like he really tried to sprint against Jan Tratnik in the Omloop Newsblad finish.
Well, no, it was
he could have looked like he tried to sprint more. He just pretty much second is going to be the best we can do.
Yeah, sometimes you're at your limit too. He looked like he tried to move a little bit and his legs just weren't there. So
I know how that feels to try to stand up and oh no, I'm sitting back down because my legs aren't working. So,
but in the UAE Tour, I mean, it got turned on its head then.
I guess it was GC.
Everybody thought that Ben O'Connor then would be the person when UAE fell off. O'Connor, was coming off a win.
Well, he was the one hunting for the win then. That's it. That's what GNC was saying. He went from the one that was hunting for the win to also being hunted because he was the one that was in the virtual. And wow, that Leonard Van Eetvelt, is that his name? Van Eetvelt.
Yeah. He said he didn't even know he could do it. He said he went expecting to fade, and he held it much longer than he thought he could. So he was even a surprise to him that he was able to ride. Yeah, he just said he felt fantastic that day, and people kept telling him, "You could win today. You could win today." He's like, "No way! I'm too far down in GC. There's no way I can win." So I think he moved up 8 spots in GC on that with that win. And he was
because Pello Bilbao finished second ahead of Ben O'Connor, right? That was the difference. That was one of the differences.
Bilbao finished second and got 6 seconds. Yeah. So, but then it ended up those two. The overall, it was 2 seconds ahead. So you're right. That made a difference separating them out there too, because it's 2 seconds was the difference between second and third.
Did you know Van Eetvelt on an earlier stage went out in a breakaway and got 6 bonus seconds? in
Yeah,
sprint?
he ended up at total 10 seconds total, right? And it was it's 6:42 or right for the what's the
No,
finishing?
10.64.
Did
No,
I
he
finish?
in
Oh yeah,
another
no, you're
stage
right,
though he
right, yeah, right.
in
Because he
like
ended up
stage
20
3.
seconds total bonus. Yeah,
Yeah, like in an earlier stage he had picked up 6 bonus seconds there, and that made a difference too. So
yeah. I mean, so actually the bonus seconds too. Yeah, 20 seconds for Eatfelt, and then Ben O'Connor had 14, and Bilbao only at 7. So he was disadvantaged there too. So he finished overall. He was Bilbao ended up being 11 seconds down. So sometimes even
oh yeah, it was that Vuelta the one year, wasn't it? But all the bonus seconds added up, and
yeah
Kobo, was that his name?
got the win
Kobo.
because of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but then he ended up getting it taken away or something. I thought later. Yeah.
A lot of times it does come, even in a race like
Yeah.
this, where it's this. I mean, people call the UAE race a sprinter's stage race because it has so many sprint stages to it. But there's 2 stages. It used to be 1, but now it's 2 stages. It has the big mountaintop finishes, but they're not as long as we see in the Grand Tours and things like that too. So even though they're steep and hard climbs, they're not super long, and they don't provide a ton of separation. And so those bonus seconds made a big difference for sure.
Right. And talking about the sprinting there, Tim Merlier, he was dominant.
He was clearly the best. Even the stage he lost, he was flat tire, and so
Olovkoi, so he's up there looking good. Arvid Klein though, two-door cycling, he got I think 3 seconds. So he was up there.
Tudor's going to be in the Giro this year, so they got and that's Fabian Cancellere's team. So they did get a Grand Tour invitation for sure, but they're really searching to to be involved in the biggest races and stuff too. So when they get those big finishes, it's huge for them.
Yeah, well they added some riders this year, so they've I think they'll hold their own at least.
Yeah.
But they'll probably be putting everything in to do pretty well at the Giro with that invitation. Michael Storer, Michael Storer, he was on the attack too at that last stage at the UAE Tour. He was up the road, so
yeah. I guess is the Giro and the Tour of Switzerland will be their 2 biggest targets for the year for sure.
Yeah, so. And they have Trentin too, Matteo Trentin. Yeah. So wow,
very expensive, good sprinter especially from a reduced bunch. He's strong enough to make it over in any of those reduced bunches, and then can definitely sprint like crazy still.
Right. Oh, how old is he? I was gonna look real quick. Matteo Trentin. I remember back was the 2014 tour. I think was it that one or a different one that he was in a group with Andrew Talansky, I think. I was hoping for Andrew Talansky, to get a stage win somewhere along the line, but Trentin.
He's 34.
He's 34, yeah. Yeah, so he won 3 stages in the tour before.
Yeah, 4 of the Volta.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's easy to get off track. Well, I don't know what track we're on really. Anyway, talking about what's going on with the cycling, but yeah, the UAE Tour. Unfortunately, the sickness for Brandon McNulty and Jay Vine. Maybe McNulty was even feeling it before. I don't know.
Dropped off so early. It seemed like he just.
Well, he didn't do as well even on the first climbing stage. Yeah, after an excellent time trial. So. Yeah, well, he's coming back though. He's racing Paris-Nice. I think I saw him. So.
Yeah, two really important stage races coming up after this weekend, starting this weekend, right? Sunday and.
Oh yeah, Paris-Nice on Sunday, and then Tirreno Adriatico on Monday. So one of the big week-long stage races. I think about all the really great big one-week stage races: Paris-Nice, Tirreno Adriatico, Tour Romandie. Dauphiné, Tour de Suisse, which is a little longer. Yeah, I think those are all the really big ones, don't you think?
Yeah, and it's a push to get Paris-Nice and Trentino Adriatico
not to overlap.
Yeah, too. They've overlapped for a long time, and different races too. I mean, Paris-Nice is a race to the sun, starts outside of Paris area, not in Paris anymore, and then goes south and gets to a nicer weather, hopefully. And Trentino Adriatico tends to be, a little bit nicer weather in northern part of Italy, although they both can have some still nasty weather, but they have. In the past we've said too, it's interesting because you get different stars at different races, and they both have a chance to have people shine, and then hopefully we bring them all together for the bigger races too. So I don't mind them being overlapping necessarily.
I don't either. I like it. I like to be able to follow the two different, and I don't mind that all the big stars aren't matching up so often. Yeah, we get the Remco Evenepoel versus really the first race we haven't even seen Primoz Roglic with Bora Hansgrohe. So, but we've seen Evenepoel. He's doing great. And I was looking at the Pyrenees coming up, thinking, oh, all these great time trialists going to be there with Remco Evenepoel and Josh Tarling, who did that great time trial the other day with it wasn't going to count, but I mean it counted, but not.
Right. It counted for a win, but not for a GC. So yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they do a team time trial in Pyrenees, stage 3. So it'll be interesting to see how the teams with the really top time trialists, how they work with their team. I mean, I don't know. I think Soudal Quickstep will still be one of the fastest team time trial. But Ineos, they always do a good one with Tarling, and then Bora Hansgrohe, UAE. Brandon McNulty, like I said, he's going to be back. Hopefully, it's a quick sickness that he's over.
Movistar's got Remy Cavagna and Will Barta doing
they've got good
so guess
and then Visma-Lease bike, Matteo Jorgenson, he's going to be their guy. So he's really, I was really was concerned about him coming into this team and not getting so many chances with such a stacked team, but it's really worked out really well for him right at the beginning of the season. He played a huge role in the opening week. Actually, it looked like he was going to win on Saturday. It did, didn't it? It did.
I just reading about it. I didn't see it even live or anything, but just reading about it, I thought, oh, you might win.
Yeah. No, I would have, watching it live, would have really been surprised.
Yeah. It's interesting because their team, so they have Coy racing there too, so they have a sprinter, too, but then Kelderman is there too, and Affini's there too, so he's definitely has some climbing support as well too. So if he's the designated leader, or if they're letting it play out, someone should be well supported.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be him. He just wants to improve on his. He's finished 8th twice, so improve on that. Which I could see top 5. It's going to be difficult, I think, to beat Remco Evenepoel, and Primoz Roglic is going to want to come out and show his stuff probably pretty early too.
Always, yeah.
So, we'll see. It'll be good.
It makes it interesting too, and then there's good sprinters there too. Fabio Jakobsen was really looking for something. He's got
because a lot of those top spinners didn't do so much besides Tim Miller. I mean, like not even top 10. A lot of them were in the bottom next 10.
And Matteo Trentin, we were talking about earlier for Tudor, he's gonna be there too. So there's people, Well,
Arvid Decline, he will be their sprinter there.
Decline, right? Yeah, that's true. And Trenton's really his captain kind of at the end, I think, in terms of orchestrating that to see if he can get him the victory. So, Caden Groves is there too. So
Pascal Ackerman, riding for Israel Premier Tech.
Yeah. And Israel, I mean, they worked a lot too. And then Zabel is his kind of captain in the sprint too, and he's been actually riding super strong for Israel Premier Tech right now, because if you've been watching some of the other sprints, they're mentioning that people are playing off of Zabel because he's such a good lead out guy. He's such a good orchestrator of the finish there too. He's not like his dad, Eric, who was the guy who finished off, in 8 green jerseys or whatever and that kind of stuff. But Rick Zabel is kind of like the guy who 6'6". Yeah. He's kind of the guy who, puts the team in the right position, put his riders in the right spot there too. And Israel has had a little trouble with having that finishing guy sometimes, but the other teams oftentimes play off of Zabel, I'm noticing, and get their sprint, based on where he's been in the finish. So it's
Sam Bennett will be there for Decathlon Azure Le Mondial. So
who's had a mixed beginning, had some success early and then not so success later. So tough to, like you said, everybody's had trouble in the UAE. So
Arnold DeLee will be there for Lotto Destiny.
Who got taken out? Did you see that? He got taken out by a team car at a race last week. Yeah, he thought he could win, and he was coming through the team cars. I don't know if he flatted or the bike changed something too, And then it wasn't a team car; it was an official's car. The official car stopped in a corner. And everybody knows you don't stop in a corner. If you're gonna stop, you stop before the corner and let the riders go through. But he stopped in a corner, and so DeLee had to go off the course and never was able to catch back on. And he said that he had the great legs, and it was
which race? Because
he's bridging back up to a 7-person group.
Lesaman was just yesterday. He has a DNF, but Omloop Hanusbad on Saturday he was super strong there.
Yeah, it might have been
10th.
Might have been yesterday's race. Yeah,
probably yesterday then. Yeah, because he is in super shape. I mean, he was trying to drop everyone on the Mur towards the end. So I guess we should talk a little bit about that opening weekend of those big. We were all excited about it. But
yeah.
I was just thinking because.
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, Visma-Lease bike, totally dominated, controlled, dictated what would happen. They're already both days almost had everything in place before the TV coverage even came on. They're gonna have to start coverage earlier because so much has happened before, especially the in the Kuurne Brussels Kuurne, where by the time the TV came on, you already had 90 kilometers to go with the winning break and just riding all the way to the finish. So
yeah, although that reshaped some though. I mean, it was a winning break, then it came back together kind of, and then a group went off again. So
on Saturday, not on Sunday.
Saturday. Yeah, Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday it definitely changed because that's what changed was Matteo Jorgenson looking like he was poised in a position to be able to win up the road with his two teammates back marking moves from that originally 6-man group where they had half the riders. But then it was the chasing group behind that came up that the TV coverage really wasn't showing that they were that close. And then that last climb, it all came back together, and that was kind of messed up then Visma-Lease bike's plan, except for Jan Trotnik, who was very astute. I mean,
he was in the group that bridged up to the leaders.
Yeah,
he wasn't even
he was further back, but he was getting a ride, of course.
Oh, he said he's still working pretty hard. He said he wasn't getting a free ride, but yeah, you're right. He didn't have to chase.
And then but both scenarios worked out so well that these teams were willing to work for second or third place for podium places, because sometimes before, like when Fabian Cancellara was in his heyday, he couldn't get riders to go with him because they knew they wouldn't win against him, and they would just. But it seems like the riders now are willing to putting the effort. Niels Pollitt was working very well with Jan Tratnik. I don't know. Maybe at one point he thought maybe he could beat him in the sprint. He's a very powerful rider, but man, the difference, he wasn't getting much of a draft when he's riding behind Tratnik because he's so much smaller, and Tratnik was getting an awesome draft from Pollitt. And then, like we just mentioned a little bit earlier in the final sprint when Tratnik jumped, Pollitt looked like he was going to respond at all, but then gave up. But he got a second place UAE podium, so and he was happy with that.
Yeah, and then Visma got third place too. So Laporte got Or no, Waltman got that one right.
Yeah.
Right, Laporte got fourth in the next day. They won the sprint for Visma that day too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like the next day, Tim Wellens and Oyer Lascano, who I think I mentioned before, I thought he was going to do well, and which he did after winning earlier. And Lascano and Wellens made a powerful group to go with Wout van Aert, where it was going to be hard for them to beat him in a sprint too. So, but they went strong, enough to go all the way to the line and get Van Aert get an early win at Kuurne Brussels Kuurne. But yeah, it's all going to still. I mean, they could win every race up until the Flanders and Roubaix weekend. If they don't win then, they're not going to be happy. It's not going to be really a success for them or Wout van Aert, who really wants one of those monuments.
Yeah, Matt Peterson was saying the same thing, that he'd given up all his wins or season last year if he would have got one monument win too. So it's like, it's the monuments are so important to these riders, especially if they're winning lots of other races too, because they have the capability, they can win all these races. So it's great, but they feel like if I'm this good enough to win all these races, I should be able to win the biggest ones. And which also too, I mean, it's interesting because on the women's side, SD Works is the dominant team, the Visma, bike team. and then Marianne Vos from Visma-Lease bike.
Visma-Lease bike,
Yeah,
right?
that
Who
was
had iliac artery surgery last year.
Yeah, right.
And she's
Yeah.
already like won everything. She's already, it's known as the greatest ever.
36 years old and
still got, well, she's, tactically incredible, but she's got still a good fast finisher. And but that scenario worked out because Elisa Longo Borghini from Trek Segafredo got up the road. I think that really worked out. And then Sharon Van Anroy, the other Trek rider. And then with that group of 4 coming in, Lotto Kopecky.
Little Trek now. So.
Little Trek.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Little Trek. And they just bing, 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 bing. They kept attacking, because that's the only way they figured they could win. Yeah. And they were relentless. And Mary Voss could be a little, she could be a little coy. And she, like, I think even the last attack, she had eyes in the back of her head. She was already moving over to get on with the Van Arenroy's wheel as she was moving up. But Lotto Kopecky, I think, had to do extra work, maybe more work than Voss, in chasing down the Little Trek riders and set up. Yeah, great finish, and Voss taking the win there. And
Kopecky felt like she had to do more work, but I'm watching it too. I think like Voss did a lot of work too, so it wasn't like all on Kopecky, and Voss could have let it be all on her, I think, too, because she's the big favorite from that too. She could have said, "Hey, it's your race to lose," but they both were. I mean, I think the respect.
Yeah, I think Voss probably is just maybe a little more astute in knowing that she, how much work she can do and how much she needs to have still maybe for the end. And
this was her first time ever doing Omloop. She's never done it before, so this is her first time.
Right, because it always came too close to the end of the cyclocross.
Yeah.
Season. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that was great. And then the next day, another SD Works failure, if you want to say, that they didn't win at the Omloop at Hageland, because Kristen Faulkner from EF Education went on a 50-kilometer solo move and took it all the way to the line to win, which is incredible, because I think a couple of years ago she started the race and got dropped. Yeah. And didn't want to do the race. She should get talked to. I don't want to do this race again. She got just dropped early on in the race and didn't think she would do that well again. But wow.
Yeah, makes up for aggressive, and I think they underestimated her ability to stay off too. She's a great time trialist too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Strade Bianche, she was off almost winning last year, so I don't know how they are underestimating her, but.
Yeah, and we would not jump too far ahead there, but we were disappointed to see she's not doing Strade Bianche after that, so yeah. Of course, she got taken away because she was wearing a glucose monitor that was not hooked up, and she got that 3rd place taken away last year, so.
Right. Well,
but Georgie Pfeiffer, though, Pfeiffer Georgie was 3rd in that race too, though, so the Kristen Faulkner, so it's, TMDSM, SD Works was 2nd place, still readable, but there's been a lot of other people. It's not been SD Works dominated as much as Visma-Lease bike domination for sure.
Right, and then Lotto Kopecky signed for like a bunch of more years, and Demi Vollering's in a contract year too, so it's talk about how they could get split up, which could probably help make the racing more exciting to have them on different teams. Yeah. Although it was exciting them racing against each other and of Strade Bianche last year, so.
Yeah, and when Annemiek went to Movistar too, that was always, it was nice to have someone that good at another team. And I think the owners already said that they have a limited budget. They have the great team, and if these riders deserve a lot of money, and they can't pay everybody what they probably deserve, so they're gonna have to make some choices. Whether they're gonna maybe have a little less money to be on a dominant team, or if they're gonna strike out on one of these teams that have more money to spend and want to go head to head with SD Works on their own.
Yeah, maybe the UAE team could sign. That's what I saw possibly. I don't know. Yeah. But that won't be till next year, of course. But I think one of a wild card rider who could maybe mix things up if she could get all the way healthy would be Chloe Dygert. Hopefully she hasn't been. She was supposed to race already.
Tour Down Under, she's supposed to race, and she didn't go. Yeah. So and that was always one of the disappointing things last year is she didn't race with the Canyon SRAM, the team, and so my understanding was they didn't really feel like she was as much part of the team because she wasn't with them in Europe, she wasn't traveling with them, racing with them on an ongoing basis, and that just made it harder for her than when she came to race with them because to integrate as well. And this year we thought, oh great, she's going to be there from the beginning of the year, it'll be a different story, and then she had a minor injury, I think it was, and then go to Australia, and then now she's still not racing yet.
Right. She's supposed to race Ghent Bubblegum and then Ronde van Vlaanderen, but so she could. I mean, when she's on form, she could really mess up SD Works racing too. So
champion, yeah, too. She's so strong that she could just, oftentimes could even ride away from the field. So yeah, we'll have to see. And the team's really strong already anyway. So if Canyon SRAM adds someone like her onto the program, it can be a tipping point for sure.
Right. Well, the rest of we didn't finish really Omloop, the men's side and the Corner Brussels Corner. The question I was thinking when I was seeing how dominant Visma-Lease bike was, what happened with racing where a breakaway gets away early on?
Yeah.
A sizable break. That didn't happen either race. They controlled it so much that they just set the tone of who they wanted to wear and didn't allow any group of riders, because it seems like you could still let some of the secondary teams put some guys up the road, but that didn't happen, did it?
Yeah, and it is happening still in some races and that too. So I think it's going to depend upon the race. I think So on these races that are, the Cobble Classics and stuff, there's a higher chance of a break staying out. Like Allison Jackson last year was in the early break and stayed out in Paris-Roubaix and won, and so people worry about that kind of stuff. I think more
doing that.
Yeah, Heyman, yeah.
Just when it happens sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, and it's more likely to happen, I think, in a race that has more is less controllable, like a Cobble Classic too. So I think that they're hedging their bets for sure. They want to make sure that they have some, because they have so many guys that can win. They have somebody up there to be able to control things or maybe get the win if things don't go as planned. So yeah, we'll see obviously as things develop how it works too. And it's certainly like Paris-Roubaix, you always have an early break there that goes off. Well, like I said, in the women's race, it didn't work last year, but and occasionally in the men's race, right? Yeah. So who knows? I mean, there's a lot of aggressive racing. I read just a little bit of an article that said that there's so many more people in better shape at the beginning of the year now that the races are just that much more exciting. And we talked about this for a long time ago, 70s, 80s, 90s, people raced more into shape as the season started, and there wasn't as much TV coverage of these early season races, and so you could not be in quite as big a shape and it'd be fine. But now everything's on TV, on internet, or you can see things too, and sponsors getting coverage right away, and people are targeting these early season races to get UCI points and more TV time and stuff too. So everything's just much more competitive, from the beginning of the year to the end.
All right. Well, this weekend's race, Strade Bianche, the debut of Tadej Pogačar. I watched two.
Oh, real quick too. I'm sorry, Luke Lampardi too. On Sunday.
Lampardi. Yeah, that was Soudal Quickstep.
7th place.
They had a very rough weekend. That was their best placing, but Luke Lampardi, 7th. It's a good debut for him. I mean, Julian Alaphilippe crashed on the first day. Didn't Casper Asgreen? Did he crash too?
I'm not sure.
But they're nowhere near the domination they were just some years ago.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lampardi, just from an American standpoint too, he's going to be pulling off a win one of these days pretty soon. And he said he's trying not to press for it. He's trying not to put too much pressure on him to get that win. But he's raced so well already at the beginning of the year that it's just a matter of time until he gets into a spot where he's going to be able to get a win.
Yeah, like perhaps to Peel, that might be a race that he could do well and win. Comes down to usually some kind of a sprint, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not always, but yeah. Well, this weekend, though, Strade Bianche, I sent John Hickox, our good friend in the Netherlands. He takes a group, there's a sportive that they get to race, and he supports it as a mechanic and rides, and always a great trip. And I think I said to you too beforehand, like, that's one race I really like to go see in person sometime, as we've ridden our bikes there to Siena. You've been there too to see the Giro stage that was on some of those white roads, gravel roads. Yeah. But it's such a beautiful area, and Siena is a beautiful, beautiful city. So, but this, it's a Saturday race too. It's kind of fun to have some of these big races on Saturdays, not only on Sundays. But they extended this course a little bit longer.
Yeah, 30K longer, yeah.
Tom Pidcock he was in that group on Saturday, wasn't he? He's
riding strongly.
He's riding strongly, but not super strongly. So
Well, he did. Yeah, he didn't finish off the cross season with World Championships too to kind of get ready for this kind of thing too. So he might have had a little of a lull after the cross season ended, and now he's maybe getting his way back up.
yeah, I think the Ardennes Classics are more of his bigger goals, perhaps this early on, and he wants to do well at the Tour too. So he's got to build himself up. But some of these riders, they just come out flying. I wonder if Tadej Pogacar is going to be one of those riders. I watched the Matt Stevens coffee ride with him. That came up on my YouTube video options to watch, and yeah, just makes me like Tadej Pogacar even more. Just how much he just likes. He rode a wheelie up one of the climbs, like they're going up the Ez climb. I don't know how long he rode a wheelie. Like I didn't know he could ride a wheelie like that too. But he just enjoys bike racing, wants to win races, and they were saying in the article I read on Velo about how different it is to the Visma-Lease bike, where they're so calculated on everything to like not take any chance with Jonas Vingegaard to have him ready to beat the best at the Tour. But Taddy's going to mix things up. He likes to do different races. He wants to try the Giro. He's going to try the double this year. Not going to race as defense of the Tour of Flanders, but yeah, he's going to start out with this, and we'll see. He says he's in good form, so I guess you got to kind of believe it. I wonder, how the race is going to pan out with the gravel roads, because it's one of those races too that you can have an untimely flat or something that crash that Alaphilippe seems like he's involved in too many crashes. Or 2 years ago he crashed when Teddy won in 2022. So.
Yeah, and they added the extra bit too, and it has some extra climbs in it too. So they said it's going to be more for the climbers now than maybe an all-rounder is not going to have quite as much of a shot at it as they used to.
Didn't Fabian Cancellara even win Strade Bianche one year?
I think he might have, yeah.
Yeah, so it would be like a race that you would think he could win now, the way it is. Even like the Flanders race is getting to be more for someone like Tadej Pogacar, a guy that is strong, that can climb, more of a climber instead of a harder man's race.
Yeah, certainly helps for sure. You have to be kind of both. If you're a wispy climber, it's gonna be harder. You have to be a little bit more of a durable climber, I think. Yeah, and we got some Americans too. Magnus Sheffield's gonna be there. Quite a few men. We were saying
Quinn Simmons.
Quinn Simmons before has done well there.
Top 10, yeah.
Yeah, so he's gonna be there too. Kevin Vermark, who's riding well right now too, is gonna be there. So we'll have to see. Lawson Craddock, Sepp Kuss.
Actually, he's starting out stronger than he has any other year. I've noticed he's riding pretty well. So
I saw him mention something saying maybe he would do well here because he is riding strongly, and the race he just did really well in too was had gravel sections in it too, and didn't seem to be phased by it. Of course, he's former collegiate mountain bike national champion and stuff too. So shouldn't be a bother for him for sure.
Right. And there's that gravel stage in the Tour this year.
What's that? Oh yeah.
There's some gravel in the Tour de France this year, so yeah.
Of course, the gravel though. I mean, descending skills. Bettiol crashed last year on a descent that Pidcock rode away on. And so
Pidcock was very good at the descents last year in the gravel.
So having the extra skill that Kuss has, makes it to his advantage for sure.
Yeah. No, that definitely be fun to watch. It's not going to be, I don't think, as much as a Visma-Lease bike controlled race either. So
especially with Walt not doing it, too. So he would be certainly one of the favorites, but he's not there. I mean, Laporte's doing it and Kuss is doing it. They've got strong riders for sure, but not a dominating team.
No. Well, also, when it comes down to those really big important ones, it'll be interesting to see Mads Pedersen, who was on such flying form early on, if he's close to that form or a higher form. And then Matteo van der Poel, of course, too. I mean, those guys are super strong. We'll end up seeing those guys duke it out, or if
Matty Mahoric's doing it for behind, and he's riding strongly right now too. And this is his kind of race too.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, he's a gravel world champion, so he'll be good on those descents as well. So, of course, always lots of racing to look forward to with those coming up, and yeah, we'll see. Didn't mention anything about Riley Sheehan. He raced over the weekend, Israel Premier Tech. He won that Paris Tours race out of a break at end of last year and got him contract at the Israel Premier Tech top team. And he's ready to go in all in and racing. I don't know. He raced over the weekend, didn't he?
He had a good result in something. I'm trying to think what it was, but yeah, he was 7th or something like that, I think. And and he was racing crits last year a lot. He was running for the Denver Disruptors.
Denver Disruptors, right?
Yeah. So, and then I think that helped him out too in the race that he did well in, because it come down to a sprint off something too. And he said, "Well, I got a good kick and a good jump, and been working on it last year." So he's maybe not going to be the most powerful rider for sure, but he's definitely someone who knows how to play tactics in the end of a race.
Yeah, he did Omloop at Newsblad and didn't finish, but then he got 37th at Corner Bristol Corner.
Huh? What's his last result? I wonder, because I saw something just really quick about him too.
He got 6th in the second stage of Tour de la Provence.
That's what I was thinking about. His finish.
So he did have one top 10.
So I thought 7th, 6th. Yeah. So I think that was the race that he showed.
It says he's doing Strade Bianche.
Yeah, it'll be good to see.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, that's good American presence there. On the women's side, Kristen Faulkner is not racing it, not gonna have one of the breakaways like she did last year. Ruth Edwards and
Lily Williams, I think.
Lily Williams for Human Powered Health will be there, right?
Yeah. And Ruth, this is could be her race. I mean, she's does well at this kind of thing, so I can see that for sure. Lily is strong rider for sure. Usually she'll be more of a worker bee for someone else in the early parts of the race and stuff like that too. So I'd say from Human Powered Health team, Ruth Edwards is probably their best.
Their best chance. Yeah.
Yep. That's all right. They're always a little. I mean, they're not the biggest team in terms of budget and in roster and stuff too. So they're a little bit, punching above their weight in a lot of races.
All right. Well,
Mariana Vosto was there, right? Too, we said, right?
Yeah, she's going to be there. So
both of course, she's
Lotto Kopecky. It's going to be a good race on both sides.
Yeah. Actually, I think for this too, this one's one that you're going to try and beat SD Works. They're the favorite to have somebody up there on the podium. So Neodoma, they said too. I mean, she's been racing well too, and she's
Neodoma,
yeah.
She's been on podium numerous times. It'd be great to see her get a win finally.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I guess, but I mean, behind me, I don't know if they're cut off. Some Matteo Jorgenson playing a great role in his opening weekend with Visma-Lease bike, and Wout van Aert, of course, showing his good form. He's going to go back to altitude to try to bring it up even higher, because his big goals, of course, are at the end of March, beginning of April, in the monuments. And then you've got behind you Tom Pidcock, the defending champion, and Demi Vollering from Strade Bianche. So we're looking from back to last weekend and ahead to this weekend of the really big one-day races, which I like one-day races where you can just throw everything out there and not have to worry about staying up for a GC position.
Yeah, it's fun both ways. It's fun to have those races where you can try everything and don't have to worry about it. And then other races too, where you can play, your spots, and if you're not even going to win the race, you still have to go hard because you might be able to win overall or place well overall too. So they both have their appeals for sure. And we have those shade races, like you said, coming up with Ferry Tours and
Nice and then Tirreno
Adriatico. Yeah. So starting Sunday and Monday.
All right. Well, let's start wrapping this up. If you can't think of anything else, there's always something we can talk about. But
real quick, I'll just say, because I'm going to go this weekend. I have my gravel camps coming up April 10th through 14th, so not for a little while, but I still have a couple spots open. So if you want to go to warrencycling.com, you can check out the gravel camp there. I'm going to go pre-ride routes this weekend, so I'll be riding big long miles on the gravel bike this weekend, getting ready for that, making sure that everything's dialed in perfectly to have a great experience in April. So just to feel plug in there.
Can you get a good idea of the condition of roads this time of year, what they'll be in April?
Yeah, actually, because you can see a lot of times too whether they're going to be impacted severely or not by weather and that kind of stuff too. So I had to change routes a couple times in my Tennessee camps because some of those roads were really affected by the weather if it was going to be raining in that too. So I had to go to a little bit safer routes and roads. That's why I pre-ride everything to make sure that we're ready so that we don't get, you still can get caught off guard by a few things. Last year we had huge winds knock down tons of trees, and so we had to go around a lot of trees, but we at least were on roads we knew that we could get through on. And so yeah, so I'm been doing this for a long time. We have a pretty good idea when I ride these roads, if they have inclement weather or things happen that could be unexpected, that we are still ready to adapt to those too. So yeah.
How's the weather look for you this weekend?
Great. Yeah. Okay. I think it's gonna be 70 on Sunday and in the 60s on Saturday and Monday. And so yeah, it looks really. Of course, they had 81 degrees in St. Louis yesterday, so and 70 some degrees in Chicago.
Really?
So, yeah, it's been really warm. But they're supposed to get cool off in Chicago and stuff too. But it's right along the Indiana-Kentucky border, so it's just far enough south that they still have some pretty warm weather. So yeah, normally this would be the time of year I'd be doing the camp, but I moved it from this time of year to April just to put it a little bit closer to some racing that's going on too.
And a little better chance of nicer weather, perhaps.
More assuredly.
Warmer.
Yeah. Less chance of having those.
I had a lot of sunshine today in Germany. Am I right? It was only in the mid 40s, so a little chilly. Yeah, not too much wind. I'm
sunshine,
still exploring.
No wind, though. Yeah, right.
Not much wind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I rode this one area where there was like really shaded, and wow, you could feel a big difference in temperature. Right. And I was thinking with these buildings or the people live there, I thought, man, they're making all the shade and making it cool. Not so. Maybe it's good in the summer when it's hot there, but yeah.
Important considerations, yeah, for sure. In the mountains here, if you're on different sides of the mountains, you can either have more sunlight or less sunlight, different times of the year, more heat, more cooling. So yeah, those are big decisions to make when you're deciding on where you want to live.
Right. Well, I just started looking at the birthday list. I saw you glance at it earlier.
Yeah.
The last day of February on most years, the 28th of February, besides Werner Duller, he's going to do, I think, another Ironman Denmark this year. He's become quite the cyclist too. He did that. I don't know if we talked about those Urztal ride in Austria. It's like 4 passes, like, I don't know. It's like one of those top like 5,000 meters of a climbing day. So I don't even know if I could do that nowadays without a lot of training, but whew. Yeah, he's celebrating his 58th birthday. He's a 1966 year guy like I am, but at the top of the list, turning 61 this year. So that would make him, what, a 1963 model.
Yeah.
Claudio Chiappucci, who's got quite a resume. I mean, he went through that time in the racing in the 90s, battling at the very beginning Greg LeMond.
Yeah, he was quite a character, and he actually had the yellow jersey for a long time in the the 91 tour, and so or 90 tour. It was 1992. Anyway, when LeMond was getting it for his third jersey, he was in the early break, and Steve Bauer, I think, was in that break with him even as well, and everybody thought, well, these guys will catch him, no problem. And then it wasn't until the final time trial that LeMond finally caught Chiappucci, because he was much tougher to get rid of than they thought he would be.
Yeah, he ended up second in that 90 tour. He was twice second in the tour, 90 and 92, and won 3 stages, won Milan San Remo. So he's got a monument win, and yeah.
He was one of those guys who was popular among the fans, not so popular among the racers, I guess. He would attack in tunnels and do things that were maybe not considered appropriate, from some of the racing things. But he, so there's been some other racers throughout the years that have been that way too. The fans love him because he's dynamic and exciting, but the racers are like, that's not how we do things, So, but yeah, he was KOM in the Tour, and I think in the Giro too. So he had 3 times KOM in the Giro, yeah, and twice in the Tour.
So Jamandolini, is that how you say his name?
Abdushaparov, right? So
Abdushaparov. Now, I've not seen his name spelled this way before. It's almost like it's phonetically spelled. Abdushaparov, 9-time Tour de France stage winner, 7-time Vuelta. I mean, great sprinter.
Green jersey winner, yeah.
Uzbekistan.
He crashed one year on the Champs-Élysées in the green jersey, and I think he had to drag his bike across the line or something like that to finish the race to be able to claim the green jersey.
It's a 3-time green jersey winner.
Yeah, he was quite the emotional racer, and he disappeared for a long time from the public eye and stuff too. So actually, we're Facebook friends right now, and I do see him posting once in a while. But I remember at one point, maybe 10 years ago or so, there was a long string of articles about saying, "Where is he?" And people are searching for him because they hadn't heard from him for a long time. But he's resurfaced since. But very emotional rider, and I think he's got an American relative or something like that too that helped with that search to find where he was. Wow. Interesting guy.
He's 60 today, so happy birthday. And then third on our list, I think we mentioned him a little bit earlier because it's Michael Storer, the Australian riding for Tudor Cycling, and he made that great attack or great climb the other day at the UAE Tour final stage.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, he's having a good year so far. Good start to the season, just 27 years old.
But now the controversial, can you call him controversial? Let's see how he's going to do. He's coming up. He'll be over at Tirreno Adriatico. We didn't even mention who's going to be racing there. We talked some of the Paris-Nice guys, but Jan Uiterbroeks, the move from Bora Hansgrohe over to Visma-Lease bike.
Oh, yeah.
He's just 21, but he's Tour l'Avenir winner. He could do big things. So I think you've got Primož Roglič. They're kind of swapped in a way. Primož went over to Bora Hansgrohe and Jan Uiterbroeks went to Visma-Lease, and they'll each get their chances coming up this weekend in a stage race to see how it works out for both those guys.
Yeah, it's also Sylvain Vasseur's birthday. It's Cedric Vasseur's brother. So or I'm sorry, they're not his brother.
Oh, father, probably father. No, he's 78.
He's his uncle. His uncle. Cedric's uncle. Yeah,
a relative. Yeah.
Uncle. Yeah. Yeah, so he's 78. Yeah, his uncle. Yeah, but he was
the overall the Tour of Luxembourg and the Tour de Nord overall.
Yeah, and so so Cedric Vasseur is both he and then his uncle and then his other uncle too also raced. So Alain Vasseur. So his two brothers, and then another brother had Cedric as their son. So
wow. Well, I saw today that Theodore Yates' is birthday, but he's not related to Simon and Adam Yates.
Yeah.
Another Yates.
That's a common name in Brit. So
yeah, he's Australian.
Oh, Australian. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's some pretty big names on the list there. We look for some Americans that might be celebrating on the 28th. We already had an Austrian.
Christian, Peter Nover.
Chris Sheehan. 55, not related to the Riley though. Sheehan.
Geez, you never know. Yeah.
No, it's not showing yet.
Yeah, I didn't say it, but you never know. So yeah.
You said Peter Nover.
Yeah, Peter Nover. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's going to be wrapping it up on the More Cycling Podcast 348 episode on the 28th of February. Well, hopefully we'll get to catch up with what's going on from the weekend events and those stage races coming up next week soon.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of racing action from the weekend and next week, so we'll try to make something work, right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, Randy. Talk to you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.